Welcome back. Now, long before Greta Thunberg came along, the world's most famous environmentalists were furry, lived under Wimbledon Common and recycled old rubbish. And this weekend, they're celebrating their 50th anniversary.
Nearly mealtime. I hope one of my Wombles has found a copy of the Times. Where are they all? What? Oh! Goodness gracious me. Today's Times.
Well, viewers of a certain age will, of course, remember and recognise Great Uncle Bulgaria and Orinoco there from the Wombles. As they reach 50, the rubbish collectors have had a recent upgrade, but the signature tune remains as catchy as ever.
Underground, overground, wombling free. The Wombles of Wimbledon Common are we. Making good use of the things that we find. Things that the everyday folks leave behind.
Well, joining me now is Marcus Robertson. He's son of the Wombles, author and creator Elizabeth Beresford. Marcus, welcome to you. They were years ahead of their time with their passion for recycling, weren't they?
Well, they were, but it was almost an accident because we were on Wimbledon Common on Boxing Day, and Mum had been asked to think up the answer to Paddington Bear, and my sister mispronounced Wimbledon, and Mum said, "Oh, that's it, Wimbledon," and there was all this rubbish, and she said, "And they're going to clean all this up and use it properly." And she was a typical wartime child. She hated waste.
Was she passionate about the environment?
I think in a way that probably you wouldn't recognise in today's world. It's a different, all the phrases we all think of now are so normal, but then there was just no real talk of it. But we always went on holidays to a lovely place called Alderney, which is where Mum then retired to, and that had the most fantastic settings, always clean and tidy. And I think that's what she loved, is keep helping with the Wombles to make people think of keeping their surroundings clean and tidy.
And I gather, you mentioned your sister there. I mean, I gather the character of Bungo was based on her and Orinoco was based on you.
I'm afraid so. Not particularly flattering. I was 10 when the books were written in the 60s, before the TV. It's the 50th anniversary of the TV. When the books were written, I was only 10. I was a bit lazy, so I'm told, a bit greedy, well, very maybe, and certainly chunky. I'm not sure what word you're allowed to use nowadays, but it wasn't the most flattering, but equally, I hopefully had some good qualities in Orinoco, although I can't immediately think of any.
Well, everyone loved Orinoco, really, didn't they? Come on. So how are you marking the anniversary?
Well, the company that controlled the rights have remastered all of the original 60 shows from the 70s and putting them on YouTube gradually, which is great. We believe there will be new stuff within a year or two, completely new, and therefore more akin to some of the rubbish will reflect today's rubbish and today's society. There are a lot of events this year. They've done a lot of good work in getting communities around the country. There's nearly 1,000 villages and communities that have signed up to the Wombles and keep their villages and towns clean, which is fantastic.
And of course,
I agree with. Sorry, I was going to say. I just
sorry,
agree with you.
go on.
They are as relevant now as they've ever been, but by accident, in the sense that they are naturally, they're not setting out to be preachy or whatever. It's just what they do for a living, which is clean up after humans.
I think I'm right in saying, though, Marcus, your mother didn't make an awful lot of money out of her creation, did she?
She didn't. I mean, it's one of those things that it was the 70s, and anything that was earned through licensing, whatever, was taxed at 98%. So a couple of big years, really, she owned very little from it. And obviously, she also signed away, typically for a creative person, a lot of her rights. So yes, she didn't ever make any money, but she retired to, she made no money, she made very little. And she retired to Alderney and loved it there and carried on writing new Wombles stuff right through the 80s, 90s and noughties. And she was very happy there. She used to say, well, I can have 3 square meals a day. I live here. What more can you want?
And what was amazing also about her was that she came from quite a literary family. I mean, her parents, your grandparents, were friendly with the likes of H.G. Wells and Somerset Maugham.
They were. Her godfather was Walter Delamere and her godmother was Eleanor Fargen. I mean, she had some fantastic kind of introductions to the Bloomsbury set. My grandfather's writing didn't last the test of time, unfortunately.
Satire. And I mean, she was also a Lloyd's name, I gather, at one point.
She was. When she retired to Alderney, there was a bloke there who was an agent for Lloyd's, and he encouraged both my parents to join because, and this was in the early 80s, because it was a way they could use their one real asset, which was their house, to be put up against Lloyd's. And as you know, that nearly went, well, it did go very badly wrong, but luckily, when we had new Wombles...
Marcus, I'm so sorry we're out of time. I've got to cut you off, but it's been a pleasure speaking to you today. Thank you very much indeed.
Thanks.